Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurs in Fuego. We are documenting the journey of incredible entrepreneurs such as Darren Vandenberg and Justin Abbate. How you doing, gentlemen?
Good.
How you doing,
for
gentlemen?
having us.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Von Rick Digital.
Yeah.
What does it do? Tell me.
Well, it's kind of the culmination of a series of entrepreneurial ventures and just a desire to help other entrepreneurs tell their story. And we know that each entrepreneur is different. Each and every one of you is different. There's no cookie cutter for
Absolutely.
any of us. So,
Amen.
We know that your story is unique, and we want to tell it in the best way to get that uniqueness across, so it hits off with your target audience and they engage back with you. Because ultimately, you don't want to generate interest. As entrepreneurs, we're trying to generate sales because we need to make money to survive.
Absolutely. So you help the entrepreneur tell their story.
Yes.
In a fun and engaging way?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's kind of where Darren comes in, all the way from South Africa.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank
Yes.
you.
You're coming to a beautiful weather over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matter of fact. And so, what is your participation in Von Rick?
So with Von Rick, we help them use a tool called gamification.
Gamification.
Yes.
All right.
And gamification is about taking behaviors that of your potential clients or the people that you want to engage with as an entrepreneur, and making it fun to do or to buy from you or to engage with you over an extended period of time. So what we do is we're working with Von Rick, and in fact we're actually talking about a kind of a joint venture because we've been each other's clients. They've been one of mine, I've been one of theirs, and we've actually helped them gamify the digital engagement that they offer to their clients.
I see. So, walk me through an example, for instance, because what I am understanding is that the person who is selling a product or service is not going to do it in the traditional, boring, very direct way, buy from me, but rather is going to engage the buyer into being interactive with the seller. Is that pretty much what I'm understanding?
I can start off, and then Darren can kind of
Sure.
finish it. Is we're in an age where it's information neutral. Consumers have the most information they've ever had. So
Yep.
you want to do business with people that you like, know, and trust. I found this guy on LinkedIn from a random blog post, and we connected through basically learning and a desire to develop our intellectual abilities to figure out how can we fundamentally change the way we market to people and help brands interact with their audience, because not everyone can be Coca-Cola or Mercedes and spend $500,000 to pay for 7 million impressions on Facebook. That's just not the case.
Right.
So we find a way to make every entrepreneur's investment in their marketing give them something back, and then that's how Darren kind of can talk about the specifics of how we
Sure.
do that.
So typically what we do is we look at, first of all, what would success look like for you. So if we're talking about the Facebook concept, an entrepreneur might say, look, I want at least 10 leads off 1,000 impressions. So once we know that, we would seek to understand what the leads are, what they would look like, and then we would use different mechanics of games. So very typically known as the leaderboard, the points and the badges. That's a very typical scenario, although it doesn't work very well over a long period. But we would make it, if you get this lead, you can maybe unlock an ebook. So instead of typically going, give me your email address for an ebook, we're going, well, click on this link and you'll get the ebook. And we change the way, because that's a behavior.
Sure.
So what we do is we seek to make the behavior that we want fun. And then once you get the ebook, in there might be a hidden message. And if you find the message, you can then progress to a different scenario. So it's whatever the strategy is, it's different per person, but we work within a scaffold or a gamification framework, which is a very methodical application of strategy to turn the engagement into fun.
Which is interesting because in this day and age, like you were saying, Justin, you have to find a way that is going to make your marketing different and distinct from everybody else. Otherwise, you are the same, and the same, and the same, and the same, and the same. And there's no differentiation between you and the next company or your competitor.
But that's it. And what really drew me to Justin, actually, and to Von Rick, what really sparked my interest was that the reason why they're here is to get the entrepreneur to tell their story. And I think the big problem with entrepreneurs is we have so many stories to tell.
Okay, yeah, of
but
course.
no one's listening to our story or the story of our product. And when I was chatting to Von Rick is going, we're here to actually help you tell your story. Don't worry about the platform. Should you tell it on Facebook or LinkedIn or don't worry about that. Let's find out what your story is.
Right.
And once we understand your story and help you understand your story, we'll make sure we put it in the right place, so that not that you can tell your story to others, but so others can tell their story as a chapter in yours. And that's narrative, and that's a key driver of gamification. What's the story? That for me is what Von Rick does, and no other digital media agency out there I've met does. We help you tell your story. And then what we do is we work on the gamification side. And that's very powerful for me, and why we got very involved with Von Rick Digital.
That is wonderful, and it is all about storytelling. We hear stories about entrepreneurs. We're listening to your story right now, and then we're going to share that story with other people, so that they know what you're talking about. And it is a very subtle way, and a fun way, if you will, to communicate your message.
Yes.
Because it's one thing that we can have a camera out here, and you speaking to the camera saying, "Well, this is what I do, and buy this used card for me." Okay, thank you. And there's a phone number right there. But
That's all well and good, but that's not why we do what we do.
right.
We do what we do because we love being entrepreneurs. We love living that exciting life of living for ourselves, and we want to help people tell their story, and that's why we're here. Because there's no great way. There's so many different mediums out there, right?
Yep.
But how do you know which one to use? Let's not spray and pray anymore. Like, figure out where your funnels are and just hammer it.
You are an entrepreneur, or been an entrepreneur for most of your life. You've had other businesses.
Yeah. Maybe one thing that we're good storytellers is because one time in my life I was an attorney, and you have to tell stories in the courtroom and in legal documents. But I decided to just use my powers for good. I'm using my powers for good. And we're gonna help you tell your stories through gamifications and what other means necessary.
Which is great, and I what I love about you guys is that you're using the storytelling as a medium to help other entrepreneurs tell their stories through gamification. Absolutely. Which is what you're doing. I think it's phenomenal.
But I also think one of the powerful things is sometimes entrepreneurs get this perspective of, well, if I try to be entrepreneur and I fail, then what? Then I'm dead in the water. I can't get another job. I can't go back. I can't. What we try and go is, this is a chapter in your story.
Sure.
Once a chapter comes to an end, you either write a new chapter as an entrepreneur. So maybe the first business doesn't make it, so you do a second business, or maybe the second business starts as a concurrent chapter. Or once you know your story, maybe when you go back to look for a job, you go look at the companies that enhance your story. Mm-hmm. So you don't just go find a job, you go find the companies where your story will be cherished or treasured. And that's different per person. Every company would have a different type of story, and they start looking for the right place to be.
What is, for your collaboration, what is the end game?
Well, I think the exciting thing is we don't know yet, because I don't think we don't know, because we don't know how far this collaboration can take us. But I will let everyone know that we're crazy enough to think that we can change the world.
Yeah.
So whether that's education, marketing.
Yeah.
I think something that is undervalued and not recognized enough is the art of storytelling.
Correct.
And I think that is, you see it more and more and more. We're in a very distinctive, privileged position to talk to entrepreneurs all day long and to do this type of interviews. And I can tell you just by a very informal survey is that it's all about the content, it's all about the storytelling, as trite as it may sound. Mm-hmm. It truly is about that, because the stories are fascinating, much like the stories that you folks are telling us right now, man.
Absolutely. So
much success, man.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
You're kind of like the dynamic duo, man.
Briggs and Murtaugh.
I'm thinking kind of the Google brothers. But
Well, the new Lethal Weapon show these days, so why not?
Exactly. But that's fantastic, man. I appreciate you coming onto the show. And with that, we're out.